All the words that exit our mouths should be words of positivity. And when those are the words that go out into that reality, and that happens on a collective scale, that reality will begin to take on positive form. I am absolutely convinced of it. When we check those words against the fear of God, well, then that's probably going to check a lot of those words right at the door. But if they do get past that, then that secondary check is humility. Are these words of humility? Are these words that are going to go out and lift up, or are they going to tear down? The fear that we're talking about here is a reverence. Because our simple carnal minds cannot even begin to understand the complexity of what is God. So these words, everything is built upon words. And when we understand this, we can then begin to understand the power that our words have. And if we keep that in mind, we should then desire to taste every word before we speak them. Because if we want to see change in the world, well, it starts with us at an individual level. And the only way that can change out there is when on an individual level, we make these changes. And then collectively, when we do that, well, then that whole thing begins to change out in front of us. Imagine what would happen if every word that came out of everybody's mouth was words of positivity. Imagine what that would look like then. It'd be the complete opposite of what we see. Because when they leave our mouth and they go out into that space, they can do one of two things. They can either build it up and strengthen it, or they can disrupt it and tear it down. Good morning. Nothing's better than a nice hot espresso, especially a homemade espresso to start the day, right? And that's what many of us do in the morning. We enjoy an espresso or a hot cup of coffee or tea. And we get to enjoy that because of this thing that we have that is the mouth. And with the mouth comes this incredible ability. And that ability is to taste. And when we think about taste, it's in regards to what's incoming, right? Oftentimes the mouth and taste are considered to be the gatekeeper to the body. And so if something tastes good, it's accepted, it gets through, and it is consumed. But if it does not taste good, well, then it is rejected. It is spit out. It is not consumed. And so, yeah, the mouth and the taste, these are gatekeepers. But I think when we think of it in those terms, with it comes this false perception, because typically when you're thinking about gatekeepers, like if I imagine a gate and some security guards at the gate, they are there to either let things, to either allow things in or to turn things away, right? So if it's good, it's allowed in. If it's good, if it tastes good, we consume it. If it's not good, it's rejected. It's turned away. If it's not good, if it doesn't taste good, we spit it out. But when we think about it in light of the gatekeeper analogy, well, then that brings with it this idea that it's one way. But see, the thing that is remarkable about the mouth is that it's the only body part that's a two-way street. It operates both ways. Everything else is only one way, right? It's either in or out, and that's it. But with the mouth, things can come and things can go. And so when we're talking about taste, we need to understand that we do also have the ability to taste the things that are exiting our mouth. And so that's where that analogy doesn't work so well, because when we're talking about guards at the gate, well, once you're in, you're in. You're not typically checked on the way out, right? But we can check. what's exiting our mouth. We can taste those words before we speak them. And I think it's important that we do. And I think we've lost sight of that. There's a lot of emphasis today put on, health and fitness. I mean, it's a big trend out there, and that's a great thing because in many ways, we've lost our way in terms of our health and well-being because we've sacrificed much of it for convenience and things that, come with these modern times that we're in. And with that, it's, I think, great that everybody is focused now on trying to get back to a healthier way of life, a healthier lifestyle. And a big part of that is what we eat, right? I mean, there's a lot of focus on what people are eating today. People are paying a lot more attention to that. And there's a lot of new diets out there. You have keto and, carnivore, and the list goes on and on and on of diets. And so people are dialed in and they're paying closer attention to the things that they're allowing into their body. Because the reality is what you allow in can either build it up or tear it down, right? The thing is, the same thing goes for the things that come out of our mouth. They have the ability to either build up or tear down. And that's why this is such an important chapter this week. And the reason why I chose the word tongue, because we are told that in the beginning was the Word, and that Word was with God, and the Word was God. And that Word ultimately became flesh. And that was Yeshua, the Mashiach, Jesus the Christ. And it's through his life, his example, where we can see what it looks like to live a perfectly righteous life. And although we could never obtain that because we are far from perfect, we should still make every attempt to try and mirror our life after his, right? That's what we're told to do. And so the fact that everything that we see was built upon a word, well, then that also means that everything we see can be torn down based upon a word. And so our words have immense power, and we're told about it over and over and over again in these scriptures. The power of the tongue. It has the power of life or death in the tongue. That's amazing. And I think that we focus so much on our physical life, right? Our health and all these things, which we should. I'm definitely not saying that we shouldn't do that. But I think we've lost sight of also being concerned with the things that come out of our mouth. And I think that we need to bring back into remembrance that we do have the ability to taste those things before they come out of our mouth. And to do that is simply to think before speaking. It's a pretty simple thought, right? But for many, that just doesn't happen today. And that's something that, we've preached to our kids since they were little. Listen, think before you speak, right? Think before you say. And we should also practice that. And that means that we can taste our words before we speak them. Because the fact that this whole reality, this creation was built upon words, well, I think what that's telling us is that there is a realm there that we don't see, that's there beyond the physical, but it is definitely there, this spiritual realm. And that as well as all of the physical realm was built upon a word. And so it was built upon frequency. And so our words also go out as a frequency into that space. And it can either disrupt or strengthen the things that are a part of it, right? If we can envision that reality as a reality that's all frequencies and vibrations, and it was all built upon a word, well, we need to understand that that creator put his breath into us. And so that gives us the ability as procreators, as co-creators, to also affect that by the frequency, by the words that we speak into it. And that's the power that we have. And so when we envision that space as this space that's all frequencies and vibrations, then we can begin to understand the impacts that our words have. Because when they leave our mouth and they go out into that space, they can do one of two things. They can either build it up and strengthen it, or they can disrupt it and tear it down. And so when we think of this whole realm, the physical realm and that realm, what we see in it is this dualistic reality that is ingrained in everything, right? This is very much a dualistic reality. Night, day, cold, hot, the yin and the yang, it's in everything, male, female. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. This is very much a reality of dualism. And part of that reality is also polarity. It's this reality that there is this polarity of positive and negative that's a part of that space. And so when we speak, that frequency that's leaving our lips is going out into that space, and it is either low vibrational or high vibrational, low frequency or high frequency. And the thing is that, like we said in the beginning, the mouth is the only body part that allows things to come and go. See, the ears, it doesn't have a taste test as a check at the door. It doesn't have that gatekeeper. And so things enter into the ears without check, without being tasted first, right? And so when the words leave our mouth, they go out into the ears of others that are around us. And those words can literally lift them up or tear them down. And I think when we look out into the physical realm, this reality that's out here in front of us now today, what we see is in many ways an ugly world. And that's because of the ugly words and all the garbage that comes out of many of our mouths. And when that happens collectively, well, then that's the reality that you see. That's what it creates out there, an ugly world. Imagine what would happen if every word that came out of everybody's mouth was words of positivity. Imagine what that would look like then. It'd be the complete opposite of what we see. And so that's the power of our words. And when we think about the fact that those ears don't have a check at the door, they're hearing everything. Well, then the only way to filter the things that can go into all these ears and impact this whole reality is by checking it before it leaves our mouth, because we do still have that ability, right? And it's by thinking before we speak. And when we do that and we check ourselves, we can make sure that, are these words going to be words that go out and uplift or tear down? And if they are words that have any possibility of tearing things down, we shouldn't speak them, right? Because if we want to see change in the world, well, it starts with us at an individual level. And the only way that can change out there is when on an individual level, we make these changes. And then collectively, when we do that, well, then that whole thing begins to change out in front of us. I think we don't really understand how this whole thing works and the effects that we have with our words. Because we can speak positive words to a plant, and that plant can thrive and grow because of the positive words that are spoken over it. Or we can speak negative words to that same plant, and that plant will wilt, wither, and die.
The leaves are like yellow. I don't think that's good.
11-year-old Samantha Petragli and her mom are still trying to nurse this dead plant back to life after the 5th graders class killed it, and not with kindness.
I feel sad about the bullies plan because I don't like to see anything die.
For her science fair project this year, the Comac girl and her mom bought 2 of the same types of plants from the same nursery. Both were then placed on the same windowsill inside her classroom.
This way it was even. They had the same amount of water, the same amount of sunlight.
The only difference, one was verbally complimented every day by Samantha's classmates, and the other was bullied. Students tracked it all by a checklist.
So the rules were, with bullying the plant, say mean things to it. Call the plant ugly, call the plant fat, call the plant stupid.
The plant that was bullied began to wilt right away, and after just 6 days, it died, while the one that received compliments continued to grow.
If bullying a plant for just 6 days basically kills it, imagine bullying a child.
Last year, the furniture company IKEA conducted a similar experiment as a public service announcement against bullying, getting the same result. According to the Long Island Coalition Against Bullying, 68.4% of Long Island middle school students expressed they were bullied in school. Samantha says she's one of them, which prompted her to do this experiment.
I like that it shows how bullying can wear you down and hurt you and hurt your feelings.
There's no concrete proof that the science project actually worked, but for this Comac family, they're happy it at least served as a teaching tool. Allie Bauman, CBS 2 News.
Simply because of the words spoken to it. And the same goes with water molecules or snowflakes. Even sand. I've seen sand on a silk sheet, and a good vibration is put into that sand and it makes the most beautiful geometrical shapes. But when it's a low vibrational frequency that's pushed into that, it disrupts it. It's what you see and what you think of is instantly depression. That's what it does. It wrecks it. And that's the power of our words. And when we see that on a microscopic level, well, what that's telling us is that every word that leaves our mouth is impacting this reality and everything that's in it on a microscopic level. And then again, collectively, the whole reality is affected by it then. And so there is an immense amount of power in our words. We're told about it over and over again in these scriptures, over and over. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that it's a remarkable thing. And I think that I think it's great that we're putting a lot of focus on our health and the things that we're taking in today. But for us believers, the ones that are following the way, we need to try and be people of humility. And when we are, the things that we speak should be words of humility, right? Positive words. That's what should be coming out of our mouths. And in chapter 18 here, I mean, it really makes that clear. And one more thing, as far as the power of words, just think about the way words are used, right? In a marriage ceremony, it's not just the ring being put on the finger that signifies this unification between husband and wife. No, it's the words that are spoken between the two. It is that covenant that you're entering into with words. By your vows that you speak, these words are intertwining, and it's strengthening this unification that's between you, and it's literally making you one. That's the power of the words that we speak to each other when we're saying our vows in a marriage ceremony. When we're entering into a covenant, we make these promises, and when we do, those words have meaning. They do things to the realm that we don't see. And they mean things there. They mean things there. When you're in a court of law and you put your hand on a Bible, it's not just enough to put your hand on the Bible, right? You must then say that you swear on that Bible. And I don't agree with that. This Bible tells us not to do that. But I'm just saying the reason why you do is because there's power in your words. Beyond this realm that we are a part of, there is something happening in that other realm that we don't see. That it is stamping those words. It is affirming those words. It's validating those words in this spiritual realm. The same goes when we look back at the way blessings were transferred from father to son. He would lay his hand upon the head of the son, and it wasn't enough just to do that. The transfer of power didn't take place until he spoke the words of blessing over his son. And it was through those words that we're speaking that blessing was transferred, because there's power in those words. And so these words, everything is built upon words. And when we understand this, we can then begin to understand the power that our words have. And if we keep that in mind, we should then desire to taste every word before we speak them. And chapter 18 here, I mean, it's an amazing chapter. It's a masterclass in relational and practical wisdom. It literally is. And I mean, it's primarily focused on power of human speech and pitfalls of arrogance and idolization and isolation, and the unshakable refuge that's found in God. That's what's in this chapter. We're told the name of Yahweh is a strong tower. The virtuous man runs to it and is secure. That's a powerful scripture. So let's get into it. First, get another drink. 18 starts out, who lives by himself follows his own whim. He is angered by advice of any kind. The fool has no love for reflection, but only for airing his opinion. When wickedness comes, contempt comes too, and with disgrace, dishonor. Deep waters, such as the words of man, a swelling torrent, a fountain of life. It is not good to show partiality for the wicked, and so to deprive the virtuous when giving judgment. The lips of the fool draw him into arguments, and with his mouth pleads for a beating. The mouth of the fool works his own ruin. His lips are a snare for his own life. The words of talebearers are tasty morsels that go right down into the belly. The man who is idle at work is blood brother to the destroyer. The name of Yahweh is a strong tower, and the virtuous man runs to it and is secure. The rich man's wealth is his stronghold, a high wall as he supposes. The human heart is haughty until destruction comes. Humility goes before honor. To retort without first listening is folly, to work one's own confusion. Sickness, the spirit of man can endure, but when the spirit is broken, who can bear this? The heart of the discerning gains in knowledge. The ear of the wise man searches for knowledge. A present opens every door for you and wins you access to the great. The first to plead is adjusted to be right. In comes his opponent, and then the trial begins. The lot puts an end to disputes and decides between men of power. Brother helped by brother is a fortress. Friends are like the bars of a keep. When a man's stomach is full, it is the fruit of his own mouth. It is the yield of his lips that fill him. Death and life are in the gift of the tongue. Those who indulge it must eat the fruits it yields. Let's repeat that one. Death and life are in the gift of the tongue. Those who indulge in it must eat the fruit it yields. Powerful verse. Who finds a wife finds happiness, receiving a mark of favor from Yahweh. The poor man's language is entreaty. The rich man's answer is harshness. There are friends who lead one to ruin. Others are closer than a brother. Another powerful chapter. And, that verse, the name of Yahweh is a strong tower. The virtuous man runs to it and is secure. A lot of truth in that. A lot of truth in all these words. And that's the beauty of the book of Proverbs. It's timeless. Even though these words were written thousands of years ago, they still apply just as much, if not more, today. And so when we implement these words into our life, which is the whole name of the game here with Proving Proverbs, I believe we can walk in blessings because that's what we're promised by the Most High. That by following the instructions found in this book, we can walk in blessings. But if we don't, we are going to be surrounded by curses. Look out there in that world that's out there, and that's what you will see. A world that's lost its way. And that's because, for many, we've lost the fear of God. We've lost the fear of Yahweh. And you see, that plays an integral part here because when we have that fear, and this isn't a fear of being scared of God. That's not what this is about. The fear that we're talking about here is a reverence. Because our simple carnal minds cannot even begin to understand the complexity of what is God. And so we can humble ourselves just by understanding that the creator of all these things is beyond our comprehension. And when we do that, we put ourselves in a place of humility and we allow faith to guide us and to trust in that power that is God. And to trust in these words that he's given us. And when we have that fear in the forefront of our minds, it helps as another layer for the words to go through that leave our mouth, right? Because when we check those words against the fear of God, well, then that's probably going to check a lot of those words right at the door. But if they do get past that, then that secondary check is humility. Are these words of humility? Are these words that are going to go out and lift up, or are they going to tear down? And if they are of the latter, well, then they stay at the door. They don't exit the mouth. And so we have to remember that this taste thing, it's not a one-way deal here. This mouth, it's not a one-way street. And the taste works both ways. We taste what's incoming, and we can also taste what's outgoing by thinking before we speak. And when we think against the fear of Yahweh, and we think against that humility, all the words that exit our mouths should be words of positivity. And when those are the words that go out into that reality, and that happens on a collective scale, that reality will begin to take on positive form. I am absolutely convinced of it. But since today we live in a time where many people are driven by pride, well, that's the opposite of humility. And so with pride, everything that comes to mind comes out of the mouth. Especially today with all this technology and social media. I mean, just think about it. Think about the garbage that is spewed from the mouths of people. And that's why that space, that reality out there looks ugly, because it's ugly words that are forming it out in front of us. Because this social media, and it creates this false security, this illusion, this barrier. The majority of people would never speak the words they speak face to face with somebody. They just wouldn't. And so in many ways, this whole thing, it can be used for good, but the bad parts of it is it allows this, the worst of our human nature comes through because of this false security that's there, right? The only way we can battle against this is to oppose that ugly that we see in the world. And by being in opposition to it, well, it is to be the direct opposite of it then. It's to make sure that the words we speak are words of positivity. And when we speak positively into that space, into that realm that's built on frequencies and vibrations, I think that what we'll see is it'll be that reality will begin to take on a positive shape. And that's the power that's in the tongue. So anyway, that's all I got for this week. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. If you have, please like the video, comment on it. I'd love to hear from you. Share it. It helps get it out to more and more people if you interact and comment on these videos. And if you like what we're doing here, please join us on this journey as we continue working through the book of Proverbs, chapter by chapter, verse by verse. I am Brad Casper. This is Proving Proverbs. And until next Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern, we're out.